to the University Housing presentation. Today we're going to do an overview of living on campus. My name is Dr. Amanda Cutchins. I'm the Assistant Director for Communications and Conferences in University Housing, and my co-host is...
And hello, my name is Dr. Alicia Vest. I serve as an Associate Director in University Housing. I oversee student and administrative services, which includes your housing assignment. All right, so living on campus. We are excited that all of our incoming first-year students live with us their first year here at Appalachian. So even though we have a space for all of you, a housing application is still required because there's some things we need to know about you in order to get you appropriately assigned. And so our first-year students are required to live on campus. Transfer students are not required to live on campus, depending on if they are still in their first year of college or not. So really for a transfer student, it depends on when they graduated high school, whether they're considered a true transfer student from a housing perspective, or if they're actually a first-year student in disguise. There are some exemptions from the on-campus live-on requirement, and those include, if you're a local student who lives here in Boone, or if you are coming to us, married or parenting, a student veteran, those types of things can be exempt from the live-on requirement from campus. We typically don't see a number of those each year, and so most of our incoming first-year students will be living with us their first year at Appalachian.
So just to share a little bit of information about our residence halls on campus, we do have 19 residence halls. They have a mix of about 6 different room styles overall. You can find more information on each of those room styles on our housing website at housing.appstate.edu. But we essentially break those down into 2 sort of common types, traditional and suite. But we do have private rooms available as well. Those tend to be reserved for those with accommodation requests, however. So what you will see on our page, if you look at our residence hall room rates, will be things like double occupancy common bath, double occupancy shared bath, double occupancy private bath, and so on and so forth. And so each of those have sort of a better description when you look at the page. But hall assignments are random and will vary. So students don't necessarily, first year students at least, don't necessarily get to pick their room. With the addition of our new residence halls, which I'll talk a little bit about in a second, about half of our freshmen will live in what's considered traditional, which is double occupancy common bath. That's that 2 people live in a room and you have the shared bath at the end of the hall. And about half of our freshmen will live in the double occupancy shared bath, which is where you have essentially 2 people in a room and 2 people in a room that's connected by a shared bathroom. So 4 people share 2 vanities, 1 toilet, and a shower. This is an example of our new living spaces. So Raven Rocks Hall and Thunder Hill Hall just opened this past August of 2020, just kidding. And Laurel Creek will be opening this fall in 2021. And then our final new addition will be New River Hall, which will be opening in fall of 2022.
So no matter the residence hall assignment, most of our students are going to live in double occupancy spaces. And so we do have a few slides here with some different pictures that show that whether you are in Eggers, which is one of our true traditional halls, has not been renovated, does not have central air, those types of things, or Belk, which is renovated traditional, or Summit on the next one, which is a double occupancy shared bath. The bedroom space looks similar in all of these spaces. And so we encourage students, as you can see from the decorations, to really make their school home their home. And so, bringing some of the comforts of home here to campus is important. We do have some policies from a fire safety standpoint of where you can hang things, what you can hang, how much of your walls can be covered, those types of things. So some of the photos you'll see We have had some students violate some of those policies. So please be sure you're familiar with those, but we really do want you to make it comfortable, because if you walk in and you see this, and Raven Rocks is a gorgeous new residence hall, but if you see this, it's not quite as inviting as when you see some of the already decorated spaces. So we really do encourage students to make their residence hall room their home. In addition to obviously the living spaces, there are common spaces in the residence halls. And so each of our residence halls does have at least one kitchen space, if not more, depending on the size of the hall. So if students want to get together and cook a meal together or bake cookies, on a weekend night, or, they just want to enjoy each other's company a little bit, there are common spaces for that. We also have study spaces in the hall for students who don't necessarily like to study in the same space in which they're living, or if their roommate is, Zooming with a friend at another institution, or taking a nap or watching a TV show. It gives them a little bit of leeway to stay within their residence hall and keep their, pajama pants and slippers on, and wander down the hall to a space where they can find to study. We have, mix of tables and chairs for those who really want to sit and concentrate and study, as well as some of those soft seating spaces so students can kind of find their own nook to find a good quiet place to study and complete their academic work in their hall.
So why do we want students to live on campus? Well, there are definitely some advantages to doing so. The first thing is definitely convenience. So most of our students are around what we call central academic core of campus. So you're close proximity to campus resources, which means your classrooms, the dining facilities, the recreation facilities, and the markets where you can pick up food and other items, as well as the student union, which is, of course, a very active place for our students to gather. There's also that idea of support. So we have resident assistants in the halls, we have hall supervisors. They're all there to help support students both inside and outside the classroom. There's also that advantage of being able to better develop relationships with peers, meet new people in the halls, and be connected with staff and faculty. Overall, living on campus plus having those campus resources really does show, the research does show that there's a greater retention and persistence to graduation for students. We also have residential learning communities, which we call RLCs on campus. These are groups of living and learning spaces. So students who have common interests or academic endeavors will live together in a unique housing opportunity that also often includes having a faculty in residence. So we offer a number of RLCs for our incoming first year students and 2 for our transfer students. Or do we have 1 or 2, Alicia?
We have 1 community specific for our transfer students, and then some of our residential learning communities accept transfer students into them based on the academic requirements and interest, can also meet the needs of our transfer students in addition to incoming first year students.
Right. So don't let the name limit you. If you have any questions about whether or not you could join an RLC, there's a full list of them at housing.appstate.edu/RLC. You can also contact our RLC representatives at rlc@appstate.edu.
All right, so you have a number of opportunities in your housing application. So you can, as Amanda mentioned, preference traditional style or suite style. You can preference a learning community if you're interested in a specific one of those. And you have the opportunity to preference and search for a roommate. So there's some different options in the housing portal as students apply to find a roommate. And it kind of goes from one end to the other. So you can go potluck, right? Basically, you're going to do nothing and see what the world gives you. And so what our system is going to look at when assigning potluck roommates is just those couple questions. It says, what time do you generally go to bed? How clean or messy do you tend to be, as answered by yourself, hopefully not your parents. as well as smoking or non-smoking. All of our residence halls are non-smoking, but sometimes students may be limited if they choose to not live with a smoker or want to find a fellow smoker with whom to live. So it's going to look at those three things and come up with a percent compatibility for students. And it's just going to put them with the highest compatibility together, right? So that's potluck. And then on the other end of that spectrum is you're going to live with someone you already know. So as long as they've applied and you've applied, you can put in your username, their username, search for each other and confirm, create a roommate group together and say, yes, this is the person with whom I want to live. We're excited about coming to Appalachian together. And then there's that middle ground, is that I want a little bit of a say, but I don't know anyone already coming in. And so you can search by those lifestyle questions. You can let the system suggest a roommate. So they're going to give you a list of some of those compatibility searches and give you a list, or you can search by a description, right? So if you put in that, I am looking for an honors roommate who likes the beach and listens to Bon Jovi, right? You can type in some of those keyword descriptors and look for other students who might be honors. You can type in honors and it'll show you students who might also be an incoming first-year student who've listed honors in their description. And you can look through those and you can put your contact information in there and choose to contact people. So it's kind of the eHarmony of choosing a roommate, in that it gives you some suggestions. You can communicate with the person ahead of time. We've had students go as far as to, meet for lunch before they confirm each other and say, is this really the person that I want to live with or not, and move forward that way. Now, all of that being said, it doesn't necessarily mean that all of our roommate matches are going to be, completely compatible for an entire academic year. It could be that somebody filled out their lifestyle info intending to turn over a new leaf on how clean they keep their room. Or it could mean that maybe they meet someone else with whom they think they would be a better fit along the way. But if you don't get along, there are some options for students. One, in the first couple of weeks of classes, we will have students fill out roommate agreements. Now, this is not a, binding contract legally by any means, but it's really all of those questions you didn't know you needed to ask until you were sharing a 12 by 12 space with another human, right? So what is shareable, what's not shareable? Do I need it completely quiet to study and sleep? Do I need some background noise? What are our rules going to be on guests? What things can they touch? Where can they sit? When can we have them? Those types of things. And so roommate agreements really go step by step through all of those different things that maybe you haven't considered in living with another person. And we also have a room change process. So after the first couple of weeks of classes, once we know who's here, who's not coming, and what spaces might be available, students are able to request a room change simply because they need a different environment from where they're originally assigned, or because they met a new best friend in their first couple of weeks of classes and they happen to have an open space in their room. So students can do room changes throughout the semester as needed. And typically we end that in the fall right around Thanksgiving, so students can kind of buckle down and be in their appropriate living situation as they go into final exams at the end of the semester.
So how much does it cost? Well, we have a residence hall room rates page on our website if you'd like to visit that. But it is, and you'll see on the table, it is based off of room type, not residence hall. So these room types or room styles, like I talked about earlier, where you'll see things like double occupancy common bath, double occupancy shared bath. Our higher cost options are typically going to be places in our newer residence halls or our apartment style residence halls. Our lower cost, you'll see, are typically going to be in more traditional spaces like Bowie and or Eggers. All of the residence halls are all inclusive of utilities. They do have, of course, internet and Wi-Fi. That's hardwired internet as well as Wi-Fi. We do not have cable in the residence halls. Found out a couple years ago when we spoke to our residents that they tended to just stream anyway off of their laptop. So we don't have cable, but you still can bring a television and just stream through your television if you'd like to do We do have meal plans required for on-campus students. The asterisk there is to just note that if you are a continuing student that's living in an apartment style hall that has a full kitchen, then you're not required to have a meal plan in that case. For our first year students, our freshman students, the lowest option you can pick would be the standard option, and then of course the high or the super option if you like to eat a lot. For our continuing students, they may pick the low option if needed.
All right. Now, living in community style living is a little bit different from most of our households. And so we do have a number of policies, procedures, prohibited items, and we list all of those online so students can be prepared to come to campus and not have to send half of what they brought back home with whoever may have assisted them in their move. Also, we do have housing contracts, and they are for the entire academic year. Right? And so a student who moves in with us in August, if they remain an enrolled Appalachian student, they will remain living in the residence halls through May. There isn't an option to opt out of their contract in December unless they are graduating, leaving the institution by transferring or withdrawing, or they happen to start meeting some of those exemption requirements over the break, such as getting married or having a child at that time. So our students are here for the entire academic year. Students who join us in the spring semester as a January admitted student do not have to necessarily live with us for the spring and the next fall. Their choices are they can live with us for just the spring and choose to move off campus after that, or the spring and the next fall and spring. The academic contract does not change for students based on their first semester arrival to campus. And so keep that in mind if you're going to come join us in January as a new student. Also, we are open for most university breaks. And so Thanksgiving break, the halls remain open. Spring break, the halls remain open. If there is a fall break or other breaks throughout the academic semester, the halls remain open. Between semesters, the halls will close. So winter break, that time after finals end in the fall, before classes begin in the spring, we are closed. So students who have jobs off campus or who would rather stay in Boone and go skiing don't have the option to stay in their residence hall room over the winter break because we are closed at that time. Our halls are not staffed. And the same is true for summers, that when final exams end in May, students will need to leave campus. Students can sign up for summer housing if they're enrolled in summer classes on a separate contract. But again, that 2-week break period between when classes end in May and when they begin again in late May, early June for summer session 1, the halls are completely closed because we have a lot of cleaning and upkeep to do in those couple of weeks before we're ready for you to return for the summer.
So looking ahead, this year, we are planning for a traditional fall 2021 semester. So we're hoping that with the proper safety precautions in place, given what they will be in August, we don't know quite yet. Hopefully they'll be a little different than they are now. We're committed to offering on-campus housing and engagement opportunities for students to get to know each other on campus again. So these would be more of our traditional on-campus experiences. We do want to prepare our continuing students. So we all know that our freshman students are guaranteed housing on campus. However, after that, housing is not guaranteed. So for our continuing students who've already lived on campus, we're not guaranteeing on-campus housing for the following year or years. You will have to enter the reapplication process for that, which we will usually open up around December 1st and continue through the end of January.
And so what does that mean for you, right? We get the question quite often of, so what if I really need to live on campus as a sophomore, as a junior, as a senior, or what if I really want to live on campus? And all of that is kind of, it depends. Some years we've been able to offer on-campus housing to any continuing student who has applied. And so we always encourage you to apply and think about your on-campus living opportunities for the next year. That not guaranteed means there are some groups who might be guaranteed or might be prioritized in that returning to campus option. But general students typically are not necessarily in that group. And so if you have a true need, specific financial needs, some of our learning communities that have specific housing, those types of things, we will do everything we can to work with you to continue to live on campus after your first year. That being said, we really want our students to be part of the Boone community. And so once you are here in Boone and your classes are going and you're starting to get to know your way around, we encourage students to kind of explore Boone and explore the community and say, you know what, I think this is a good fit for me for future years. This is, somewhere I want to live. Meet students who live off campus in our apartments in the community and be like, I really like the amenities this one has, or I like the contract of this one, or this one has a pool and a clubhouse. This one's already furnished. There are tons of opportunities for students to look around the community and see what's going to be a good fit for them. And so we do have an off-campus student services office, and we partner with them quite often to assist our continuing students in either finding off-campus opportunities, and kind of seeing what fits best for them. And so off-campus housing.appstate.edu is an opportunity for students to search for those subleases, to search for different apartment styles, whether they're walkable to campus or drivable to campus or on an apple cart route or allow pets or don't allow pets. And really kind of breaks it down for students and their families to do some really good searching to figure out what is their next best step.
That's the conclusion of our presentation, but we do encourage you to connect with us. I'm sure this presentation didn't answer all of your questions. So we are available. We are here. If you want to give us a call, there's our number listed. You can also, of course, visit our housing.appstate.edu website, which has a wealth of information on it. If you have questions that you still haven't found answers to, you can always email us at housing@appstate.edu. We are pretty responsive through that email. And then, of course, if you want to follow us on social media, we are on Instagram at AppState Housing. We also do have a Facebook page that is also called AppState Housing. So please connect with us if you have questions. Otherwise, please enjoy the rest of your day. We appreciate you hanging out with us. And I think we'll be answering questions in the chat if you need us. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.